Welcome back to Possible Outcomes, where the possibilities are endless. We are your hosts. I'm Mick,
And I'm Lily.
and we are two mixed girls living in a black and white world. Every week, we are going to explore the nitty gritty of life as we know it, as two people who refuse to be told what to do. We drop new videos every Wednesday, so hit that like and subscribe button and enjoy the ride.
So, before we get started on our topic, which could possibly be controversial and definitely spark some conversation, let's just share a little bit with our very new to us family of possible outcomes, how we met, just to kind of set the groundwork to let people know what they're getting into, because welcome to the roller coaster.
Oh man. So Lily and I met at college. It's a very fun story. I had just transferred up to SUNY Potsdam,
What's that?
and we were leaving for the Kennedy Center College Theater Festival, KCACTF, and I had overslept. So the van was leaving at like some butt crack of dawn bullshit, and people were calling me, like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Because I was a last minute addition to the group. And I was like, oh no. And, me, I overpack and I packed the night before. So it worked out great because I was like, oh no, put my boots on. I'm running to the bus. My hair's undone. And Lily's standing by the van, like, this chick. I'm like, hey, slipping. My
It
bad,
was
girl.
it was brutal because it was the middle of winter and we were just going to another part of the country where it would still be the middle of winter, and all I wanted all I all I wanted was for this to go smoothly, because I believe I was like partly in charge of
Yeah.
making sure this particular trip happened. And I mean, I'm already not good at that. Like I was already really bad at that, and I was like, she
Oh.
is going to ruin me. And I had no idea who you were. I maybe have seen you once or twice, just in passing. I had no idea. And so here we are. We're late. We have to travel to another state far away. It's probably maybe 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And so
Maybe.
to be
Yeah.
late, you know,
My bad, y'all. My bad.
so funny.
See,
The
well,
van
I
is
saw Lily and was like, I'm in love with her. We're going to be best friends. And Lily was like, get out of my face.
yeah, like please get in the van
Get in the van
before you don't have the option of being able to get into the van.
before I drive the van over you. Get in the van.
We were and she was
Run.
runting, and it was
I
what a
and
trip.
I don't run.
We both don't
Do not
run.
run.
We're not
And
runners.
I ran. I ran.
So once we got on the van, I was soon to realize that Mick was going to uh, not necessarily be a problem, but definitely always be talking, which is great. She will always be talking. I'm not necessarily someone that is going to always speak. I internalize, and I'm a thinker. I like to take the moment before words, because I'm one to say the wrong thing. Really good at that. Really good at that. But Mick over here, she's like, fuck it, let's just we're just it's in there, and I don't have there's no time for it. It's gotta go, so it's coming out. So I love that, because she turned the van totally around. She's a little party of herself, so that was fun. And then of course, once we got to the conference, and things calmed down, and we made it on time, no worries.
Thank goodness.
She was everywhere, and it was great. It was really good. Getting back from the conference, she was really quick to continue to contact me, um, with requests of
I
being
knew what I
friends.
wanted. and I wanted to be your friend.
And I was like, you know what? That's cool. Like everyone can use more friends. And then it was just after it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was an instant connection as friends, just due to the circumstances of you,
Sure.
um, not being where you needed to be on time as a
Like
Virgo.
almost ruining your life.
Right, as a Virgo, that's a lot for me. But
Yep.
we were very quick to become really really good friends. We spent many afternoon and evening in the theaters together, hanging out on and off campus. The friend group that just surrounded us was very supportive and really awesome, and some really nice relationships that we continue to keep up with after our college years, which is awesome. Especially
Nice.
us, we ended up living maybe like 45 minutes away from each other, which was cool. I spent a summer, I think, maybe or two at
Yeah.
Mick's house, and I was
At
requested
my
to
house.
not leave by
Ah,
her entire family. But unfortunately, did have to go home.
at some
But I
point.
always came back. Always came back.
Yeah.
But
Here we are, baby.
and now here we are.
Possible
Mick has
outcomes.
decided to flee the North Country to warmer climates, which then, 3 4 months into that, we decided let's start a project where it would probably require us to be close together to each other, which is really easy while in completely different parts of the country, So it's like,
Yeah.
it's just, brain smarts. We nailed it with that
We
one.
love the brain smart.
Brain smarts.
Brain smart.
So, yeah, so that's really, a college almost mishap led to a really good friendship that has continued
Yeah.
throughout the years.
Very thankful
Knowing
for you.
that we have each other that we could call whenever we needed was really good, especially in the world that we live in today,
Legit.
which pretty much segues us to our topic of the day.
Trigger warning. Use of an offensive word, colorism, and rape.
So picking back up to another aspect of why Mick and I's friendship is so strong, is due to our racial background, ethnicity. I don't like any of those words, but
Descent.
our skin tone, our
A melanin.
our two pieces of DNAs that came together and created us. Um,
You guys are welcome.
being where we lived is it's very nice to have someone you can touch base with, and kind of say I get it. It's easier to say I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. From the same person.
Yeah.
With someone. Now my situation is visibly different than Mick's, but we both are living it, and that is undeniable. So today we wanted to talk about the use of the word mulatto. To some, the word mulatto is offensive. To some, the word mulatto is beautiful and used in a way that just encourages them to continue to live their life. So it's very personal, and it's up to people's own preferences. So the word mulatto has a deep meaning, roots in incivility, and a tone of character minimization. Really, I can honestly say that we're definitely not women who hear the word and go, "How dare you?" We would probably just laugh at it. To be honest, it's because it's laughable. There's ignorance behind it, and
Yeah.
at this point, it's like, what? like it
Hmm.
it brings up a laughter of not joy, but inconvenience, I guess. Like, you are
Yes.
inconveniencing me and my
Yes.
day by throwing this word at me. And all I'm able to do comfortably in public right now is laugh. And that's all that you're gonna get. So that's so I think it's very clear just to say that that's not a word that we prefer, but um, it's weird. It's weird. That's the main point. Is that, to me, it is weird. Now, we are
Yeah.
open minded. We are not people to say, "Oh, that's the way you are." I would never. No, we are very supportive and
Never.
open minded to the world. You're allowed to have your opinions, but we're also allowed to have ours and speak ours. Um, but we're not really judgmental people. Um, so okay, so let's get started with the word mulatto. So it's used modern age to describe the race of a human being black and white, being a mix of a black person and a white person. It came from the word mule, like the 1500s. So the mix of a horse and a donkey used for work.
See, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah,
When you had done that research and I read that, I was like, oh,
yeah.
that makes
Uh
kind of
huh.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And so they found that when horses and donkeys combined, they created a physical being that was able to be worked to death. Every day it can be worked. Mules, pack mule. It's a thing. So unfortunately, throughout the test of time, the word mulatto evolved into the creation of a black person and a white person. And I don't like a word. I don't like a word that describes me. One, I cannot be described in one word. So
First of all.
exactly, like, one word to describe me is great. That's no, thank you. But also, the a mulatto human, I don't like to say it, but it's easier just to say it. For in this context, a mulatto human can look different than another mulatto human.
Yeah.
You're looking at him. So I and this is where things get tricky when we go back in time to slavery,
Hmm.
in the 1800s, uh, and people were being born mixed, biracial, mulatto. Um, there was no telling what their skin color was going to be. um, I am mulatto, as one would say. I am the child of a black man and a white woman. Mick?
I am the child of a black woman and a white man, and I am black with a capital B, baby.
Right. Um, and um, I have a sister who, same father, same mother, and she has a very darker skin tone than I, and hair that is more black hair, as some
Mm.
would say. So
We can get into
it's
that.
yeah, yeah. Oh, the hair will be a whole other episode.
Ugh.
Hair will be a
Ah.
whole other episode. Uh,
Oh,
that's gonna be a long one. Everyone,
whatever.
grab a snack for that one. Uh, we
The tea is hot, baby. The tea is
the
hot.
tea is hot. So yeah. So unfortunately, there's no telling what the exact tone of someone's skin is going to be while
Yep.
mixed. And that's that. That's that what it is. bringing this into the time of slavery, mixed babies, biracial humans, light-skinned black people, however you want to identify a human that is the result of two different races combining, were because of rape. I know that's a big word, but we cannot we cannot hide from it because
Yeah.
it is what it is. Many mulattoes resulted because of rape, and mainly white men, slave
Mm.
owners, were raping the female slaves, who were black. And let's all just note the fight for contraceptives and the proper use and ability to obtain proper sexual health care in 2022. It
Mm.
wasn't an option for a slave to have contraception. It wasn't an option for any type of sexual health care for a slave in the 1800s. Okay?
Yep.
So a woman got pregnant means a woman got pregnant. Um, and that baby's life would be lived in a way that their skin tone decided. So the darker you were, um, the more of a stereotypical whitewashed history of a slave you were.
Yeah.
So the darker of a person, the harder physical labor you would accrue in the places in the United States where slavery was at its peak, where slavery was the economy. The
Yeah.
lighter skinned you were almost allotted this favor from slave owners um, to work inside, to be in-home slaves. You were considered weak, you were considered fragile, you were considered not worthy or strong enough to build essentially America on your hands and knees out in the fields. Um, and there, of course, developed animosity between slaves in the field and in the house, but that's not really the
Mhm.
topic for today. Going back to the rape of slaves, there was no protection for women slaves who were decided to protect themselves against their rapists, against the people who were hurting them in a way that not only threatened their life more, but in a different way than what, um, than what men would experience. Giving
Yeah.
birth in the 1800s many times resulted in your immediate death, just in general. But you were also put in the situation of creating life with your rapist, but
Yeah.
also more than likely having to give your creation, your life away to whatever it's going to end up to be. So um, that's where mulattoes really surfaced. They needed a name for what these things, their words, not mine, what these things were. Um,
Mm.
it's really
Beautiful thing.
frustrating to research the word that was, when I was younger, thrown around so often, to
Oh,
simply
absolutely.
identify um, why these two babies with big curly hair and tan skin were with my redheaded mother.
Hmm.
Um, it's really heartbreaking to see so many comments on Twitter and dictionary definitions that have comment sections with people who claim to say, well, I'm not trying to be offensive, but if you're mixed, you're mulatto. It seems like you're trying to be. Uh, so it seems like you didn't try to not be.
To not be, yeah,
So
exactly.
it's definitely heartbreaking. I mean, the world of slavery, and I'm not going to say that we no longer exist in a world of slavery, but very specifically, um, late 1700s, early 1800s into the antebellum period, we um, we purely existed in a world of black slavery. It really like gets my heart pumping because I want to go back in time and like just chop down all of it with a hatchet. You know, I want to be able to like be the savior, but you can't be. You can just simply be a voice now.
Yeah.
Um, and my voice is not allowed to be diminished because my skin is lighter than what you would expect a mulatto
Mm.
person to be. So that's a little bit of the research that I was able to accomplish outside of my own personal experiences um, with my own personal skin color.
Yeah,
Um,
with being alive.
yeah, you know, uh,
Ugh,
rape is now a crime, which is good. Good job. Thanks, government. Um,
great work.
but what was also very recently still a crime was interracial marriage. So we have a lot of work to do. Let's just,
Hmm.
it's very easy to say, well, we've come so far, which is crap. You know
Yeah.
what a whitewashed phrase of freedom. Well, we've come so far. What? Because I can
Ooh,
vote?
that's a quote. That is a quote, Lily.
Because I can vote,
Whitewash
you
phrase of
know?
freedom.
I can vote, and my skin color is no longer warranted for me to have someone else decide where I'm allowed to work and live.
Mm.
That's far. I To me that feels like a short trip around the block.
Yeah, snail's pace.
Snail's pace. But yeah, so rape is now a crime as uh as a black female slave. Rape was not a crime. But
Mm.
what was a crime was defending yourself. And defense against a rape very often ended in the death penalty to the woman who was raped. She would be punished to points that would make any modern judge say, whoa, that's a bit much. That don't make sense. I
Mm.
mean, maybe there's a couple people today that would still support that, but um, we're not here to talk about them. They don't get my voice. But so to be able to say, we're putting to death a woman who defended herself against a man who decided to rape her because no white woman wanted to have sex with him. That's okay. And unfortunately, that mindset still exists within the people who are supposed to protect us. Um, but I digress. We won't speak on. Maybe one day we'll
That's the
talk about.
story for another day.
Maybe one day we'll dig deep into
That's a big fat trigger warning right there.
yeah, how we
We're not
actually
sorry
stay
though.
protected. um, so I wanted to also mention that the result of a, now I'm still saying it because of the times, a mulatto baby were not always due to rape. There were places in the United States where black men and white women and black women were free-ish together in almost as close to unity. They existed in the same zip code. Um, and men and women uh, were able to fall in love. They could uh, find themselves in relationships and have the creation of a human be a mixed child. Um, Now, that in itself was not applauded.
Mm.
Even in places where um, black men and black women had more freedoms, it was still a no go. It was still
E-
your nose pointed up to it.
Even recently, even as recently as the 2000s, like
Yeah,
still, I was dating this white guy, and we had been like going for a walk in Vermont, and somebody pointed and called me the N-word, and like, I'm sorry, it's 2008. Are you kidding?
yeah. It's it's not easy.
No.
There's uh, a lot of questions for people who are not comfortable in broadening their own perspective on the world. They
Mm.
have this innate uncomfortability with something that they haven't seen before. With us, just in general, we're like, wow, this is new. This is exciting. Let's play with, let's see it. Let's do it. We want the new. We want the different. We want a day that's not like yesterday.
Yeah.
But it's very common, and I don't understand it. I can't wrap my brain around it, to find people quite often who are just questioning everything because they don't know. And I get that a lot,
Mm.
personally. The very infamous question, "What are you?"
But like, what are you?
Well, my name's Lily.
The person who's about to punch you in the throat.
Yeah,
So,
my
what are
name's
you?
my name's Lily. That's what I am. I'm a person. I don't know. I don't understand your question. It was usually my response to people who ask that
Yeah.
question. I don't understand your question. What are you?
What are
Oh, well, I'm white.
but like, what
Okay.
are you?
What does
Congrats.
what does my level of whiteness or lack thereof have anything to do with you, total stranger I've never seen before and will probably never see again? What? Um and then the very common, while we're together in public, are you two
Oh
sisters?
man, it's my favorite. Is that your
No.
mother? You're really raising her right. We're literally the same age.
Literally the same age.
Like, are
No,
you
I'm just a
kidding?
coincidence.
Ugh,
It
I
just so
can't.
happens that there's more than one person who is of mixed race or multiple race, within
Absolutely
one
not.
community.
No.
And I know that's a lot for people to understand, and comprehend sometimes. And I'm not.
So you guys are related.
I'm not. So you're from the same nest. What's going on
No.
here? I need more info.
I can't. Uh,
What are you? Oh my gosh. That question really digs deep. And if you are by any chance somebody, if you are listening to us right now and you are by any chance somebody who has or is comfortable with asking someone of an ethnicity that you you can't make out just by looking at them. And your response to them existing in the same place as you is, what are you? Take a moment and really think about what you are saying to that person.
Mm.
You're telling them that you need to know their race for you to be okay with them existing near you, in the same mall, in the same grocery store, checking out. Really think about how inappropriate and unnecessary that question is. How are you? That's a fine question.
How are you?
Cold enough for you? That's a great question. That's very North Country of you.
Crazy weather we're having
Crazy weather we're having.
in the butt crack of America.
But really take a moment before you say, what are you to somebody?
Ugh,
Really think about it. Think about
gross.
what other situation would you ask that question? Oh, you see a little dog? You don't know what type of dog they are? Could be German Shepherd, maybe part
What are you, little
Husky,
dog?
a little bit of Corgi. Oh my gosh, what are you? You're so
Mhm.
cute. Maybe acceptable. You could also just mind your own business. Those are options.
But yeah.
Minding your own business and also
Feel free
not
to mind your
asking the
own.
question, what are you? Those are your options. And I
Mm.
don't want to offend anybody by saying, shut up and mind your own business, but very nicely, very kindly, shut up and mind your own business. My race does not need to be announced for you to continue living your day.
Mm.
Period. Period.
Period.
And if that makes you uncomfortable or that makes you unhappy or you get mad at that, that's a you problem, not a me problem. Because I wake up like this every day of my life. You are probably not the first person to ask that question to that human being that day. And you probably won't be the last if they have a couple more errands to run. So really think about it. It's okay to not ask someone to identify their racial ethnicity to you.
Boom.
It's okay. You'll be okay. The sale will
But I
still be
have to
happening.
know. But I have to know.
You don't have to know. You don't have
I
to
look
know.
upon you and I am confuzzled.
Because what my 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 biggest issue is what happens after you find out that I'm what I am, who I am, why I am.
Right. Like,
How
is
does that
your
change?
perception going to change?
Yeah. How does
Yeah.
that change anything?
Are you going to change your mind about me now that you know that? Ooh,
Like, oh, good, now I can call the cops.
huh. Just give me a second. Let me just. Excuse me.
Whoa. He's good.
Um, she's trying to use a coupon.
She's
Uh, get
it's
her out of here.
it's not
Get her out.
expired, but I want it to be. But
Get her
it
out of here.
which the what are you is very very similar to the one drop like theory, the one drop
Yes.
mindset,
Yeah.
and which was a rise in like the while getting closer to slavery being um like diminished and slowing down and starting to kind of separate itself. The one drop, the well, if you have one drop of black in you, you're black. Okay. Okay. But the people who are saying that are selling you.
Truth.
You know,
Yeah. To piggyback off of that, Lily, there was. I mean, you remember Blues for Mr. Charlie. I remember seeing you in that show up at Potsdam, and your character was white passing. And I remember being like, oh, skabakataka,
yeah.
nuts. And in my own experience, I did a show called Showboat. So all my musical theater people out there, you know what's up. Oscar Hammerstein and Kern wrote the book for the musical, which based off of a book by Edna Ferber, which was published in 1927. And there was a character on there named Julie, who was this really beautiful woman. She's a singer on the Showboat. She's married to Steve, who's a white man, and Julie was very, very light skinned. You really only got a hint that, there was maybe some black in there because she was, chilling with the maid,
Mm.
the big mama. That was my character, and she was singing the song that the black folks would sing, and I was like, "How do you know that song? Like, there's no way that you, because by all accounts, she looked white, would know that song." And there was another character who's a creeper named Pete who was in love with Julie, but Julie was like, "Nah, bro, I'm married." And he's like, "I know a secret about you, and I'm gonna spill it if you don't give me what I want." And she's like, "I'm sorry, what?" Because nobody knew on the showboat. She would be out of a job, she would be on the
Mm-hmm.
street, nobody knew.
Yep.
And when it came out, all the black people were like, "What?" And all the white people were like, "You're fired
Yeah.
because you're black." And her husband, Steve, had cut her hand and cut his hand and, did this thing. And he was like, I'm black too. And they're like, "What? Like, prove it." He's like, "I got black blood in me. Like, get wrecked." So that they could stay together. It's actually a really tragic ending to that story. But that whole one drop thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
even today.
Even today. And it, like, I don't know, it's definitely, as someone who has had um a really good life. I had a really great childhood. Um I was in a very liberal household. I mean, how could I not? uh, Me and a sister who look like me, uh, a redheaded Irish mother, and a sex therapist as a dad. Uh, who, not my biological, but we had the most amazing childhood. I was given opportunities that many people didn't get, but I was still not white. I was still also not black. And I know that you have a different identifier as me, but I was lucky enough to grow up in a very diverse city, which was um, very good for me
Yeah.
mentally and emotionally. But I am not, I was never white enough for white people.
Hmm.
I was never dark enough for black people. Um, so was very torn uh, a
Yeah.
lot. Just in knowing who I was. I mean, everyone goes through phases. Everyone goes through phases. And, but it was definitely something that when when I went to college and the infamous Walmart up there, um, I had a cute little like dyed streak in my hair,
So cute.
and I was very comfortable. We were comfortable. We were able to find our own spaces and create our own comfort because they were not allotted to us, especially up there. Uh, and so I was very quickly reminded that you're not allowed to be comfortable everywhere. Um, when I was verbally assaulted by just some random white people for having at least one drop. To them, it was too much. Uh, they were able to spew all the words that they've ever learned from the internet at me, uh, while I just continued doing what I needed to do, which was some minor grocery shopping. Um, and I didn't address them. I was not uh, going to. That's not really my thing. You can say whatever you want to say, but just know that I said nothing to you. You said that all on your own. You created this
Mm.
situation because you couldn't stand the sight of someone that wasn't white enough for you. That's a you problem. I'm good. I got mines. I'm here for a reason. Like I'm good. Um, but it made it very clear that uh, one drop is is enough for black people to be able to well, I shouldn't say black people, I should say people of color, to be able to very easily recognize our fellow people of color.
Mhm.
But it's also enough for people who are so uncomfortable and so willing and ready to fight tooth and nail against people existing that don't look like them, which is so strange to me. I don't get it. And I'll never understand. That's something that I'll never understand. And I don't
Mm.
want to understand because that's dark. That's some dark shit, and I am not about it. I don't have time for that. I have a job. I have another YouTube channel. I have someone else's cat that I'm taking care of. I don't have time to also be racist.
We have things to do.
That's a lot. Who has that kind of time? That was really unfortunate because that was also during a time where I was like thriving in college, and being able to find the words to say to someone like that and defend myself are easy. Uh, but having to be the better person um,
Yep.
and continue walking away from the people who are berating you unnecessarily, unfairly, and racially while in public in a place that you will be again for another 3 years. It's the only place to get
Mm.
groceries for the most part.
Yeah.
Is frustrating, and it can be embarrassing depending on how your own personal embarrassment works. Um, but I don't know. It was very eye opening to to me personally that you don't have the right to be comfortable everywhere, and and that's an issue. That's not good. Uh,
Yeah.
that's not good. Like, yeah, sure, you can be comfortable in your theater. Great.
Sure.
You can be comfortable in your friend's dorm room. Great. You can be comfortable in your student union. Great. But not having the oh my god, I literally can't say comfortability. Not having the ability to be comfortable 3/4 of a mile away at a Walmart. Why? Like why is that a thing?
Mhm.
It was very eye opening for someone who was able to come up the way that I did. It's it's difficult to say to people that I'm black. Not for me to say it. It's difficult for people to hear. Mainly the people who
Mm.
ask, "What are you?"
But like, what are you?
Because and this is where colorism really uh plays a fact in life as two people of color, two
Mm.
people who are not white. um, for me, I have been able to be at the receiving end of I know you're not white, but you're not black. Yeah. Just because my skin color is not dark enough for them, but it is dark enough to be spewed language from the depths of hell
Mm.
for a white person who is racist. So then what am I? I'm not enough and I'm too much, but I'm not mulatto. Because I can't be a one-worded thing. I can't be I can't be that if I'm not enough, but I'm also
Mm.
too much. I can't that can't be defined by in one word, you know? So I
Yeah.
don't like the word mulatto. And I think people need to just shut the fuck up and get
She
over
gets
it.
closer.
And shut the fuck up and just get over it. My race doesn't
Yeah.
matter to you.
Uh-uh. Accurate. Don't call us mulatto.
Don't call us mulatto.
Yeah. I personally don't appreciate being referred to as mulatto or mixed. Um, just something about the word mixed is just like cringy. I had an experience recently where this gentleman, nice guy, um, you know, uh, has a biracial daughter, and he turns to me and says, "Oh, you're mixed, right?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Let's get one thing clear. Because you have a daughter who's biracial, you may not, sir. I am black with a capital B, and I will tell you why. I had a conversation with my father, love him to death, mwah, mwah. Great, great old man,
Killer.
um, and a killer, like was good. And he turned to me one day and he asked me, he said, "Nick, why do you call yourself black?" He's like, "You're not only black, you're black and white. Why do you call yourself black?" And I said, "Daddy, I call myself black because when the world looks at me, they don't see me as half white.
Mm-hmm.
They do not see me as half white. And quite frankly, I'm glad because I am black with a capital B, baby." And people get, we could dive into that about how my voice doesn't,
Oh God.
sound like it should.
Yeah.
I don't quite. There's just something that's not. And I'm like, I am enough. I did a whole show on it. I am black enough, and you can shut the fuck up about it. Black with a capital B.
Black with a capital
Black with
B.
a cat.
Yep.
Get your foot off my neck.
Yeah. Preach.
So, Lily, final thoughts?
So I think the majority of the word and the I really want to say psychology behind the effects of the word mulatto um,
Mm.
can be minimized by one not using it. It's not a word that needs to be used. Um, if we came up with a word to identify white people as, that was like pigeonona, we wouldn't be allowed. We wouldn't be allowed. They would say no. I don't want to be a spin-off of a pigeon.
Pigeonona.
It's a thing that
I'm sorry, Jesus. I'm sorry, Jesus.
I'm sorry, Jesus, but it's
Okay.
I don't want to be uh, a different form of the word mule. Period. And
Yeah.
I think I'm allowed to say that I don't
I
want
think
that.
that's okay.
I think that's okay.
I think that's all right.
I think you have to be okay with me saying you're not allowed to call me that because I'm not a mule. I'm not a 21st century mule for you. Period. I'm not
Hmm.
illegal. I'm not a word. I am not a word. I personally am comfortable with referring to myself as mixed for the ease of the conversation because the
Sure.
question is what are you occurs so very often. I've had to create ways to very nicely tell them to
Hmm.
shut up.
So
So
sick
the
of being
word
nice.
mixed is something that they can handle. They can taste it.
Yep.
It's full flavor for them cuz
It's
in their
full
brains
flavor.
because they can get anything
It's
they want from
Tony's
that.
spicy Cajun seasoning.
They can create
Oh,
whatever mixed that they want. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the right mixed because it's not like it's going to change what I am, but it will be good enough for them.
Mm.
If I say I'm black, they will say, no, you're not black enough. You're not black. You're not black. Your skin's so light. You're not black. Okay, I'm white. You're not white. You're tan to be white. You're good. Look at your hair. You're not white. Okay, so what do you want me to be? I mean, I could be the bruise that was left on your left cheek, or I could walk away. Like there's only so many options that people will okay. And so yeah, so throughout life,
Yeah.
many years of being asked, "What are you?" Um,
Ugh.
I've had to develop my very specific answers. I've even gotten with my boyfriend, who is also the same as us. two two 50/50s, a full glass uh mixed,
Full
and
glass, baby.
we've been asked, "Oh, are you brother and sister?"
Just
If it's
white
not
people.
right for a white person to be with a black person,
Stop it, y'all. Like, come on. We're not all related.
can it be right for a mixed person to be with a mixed person? Let me live. My race does not matter to your life, but it does matter to mine if police are involved. So shut up about my race. It's not yours. Period.
Shut up.
Shut up about it. In the
My final
nicest way
thoughts are just
possible.
shut up.
In the nicest way possible. Please shut up and stop caring about why my skin is the way it is.
We're gonna be boundary bullies with this. Just shut up.
Yes. I and when it comes to my final thoughts on colorism, uh we are all in it together.
You know.
We are all in this together. We are here for everyone is here for a reason and a purpose. We have one major fight to accomplish, to finish. And me not being black enough for you is not helping the cause.
Yep.
Me being too light to comfortably say Black Lives Matter with other black people around, that's not my problem. Because Black Lives Matter, and I am part of the Black Lives that matter. Period.
And shut up.
And shut, don't ask, what are you? Like,
Shut
oh my
up.
God, what are you? Who says that? What are you?
Like, to be clear, y'all, I laugh because it's wildly uncomfortable
Like I said,
and
it's
stupid.
inconvenient. It's inconvenient. You are inconveniencing my own thought process of the day by asking me what I
Damn,
am.
y'all.
I have things to do. I don't have time to explain to you that people can make babies in many different forms. I can't get into the genetics. It's -3 degrees and it's almost noon. That's why I'm pale right now, okay? That's why. Like, what do
Because
you
she's inside.
I don't have time to explain the
It's zero
science to you.
degrees and the deep freeze.
Mariah Carey, she's
Yes,
had a struggle for her
I
entire
remember that
life to be,
when she had that big, like, breakdown about it.
yeah, what's black
Yep.
enough? What's black enough to be black?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
if you say I'm not,
Don't show up to my vigil because there's not a candle for you.
it's just so frustrating. It's just so frustrating. As a person
Slow down
who
for a
is
while.
both, let me be both.
Yeah.
I don't need to be one or the other because one or the other does not fit who I am.
It's beautiful. Don't call him Mulatto.
Even though it was so used in the 90s.
Yo, I remember using it as like a 7-year old.
Yeah.
She'd be like, "What are you?" And I'd be like, "I'm mulatto."
It was so prevalent in the 90s and early 2000s. There was the silent,
And it was
like,
PC back then.
it was
Oh yeah, it
PC.
was it was PC back then. Yeah.
And for some it is still PC. For some it's what they prefer. But
Listen,
guess what?
whatever you prefer.
Guess what?
I don't
This
prefer it.
is our podcast, and these are our opinions. Don't call me
And
mulatto.
this is our possible outcome.
And the possible
Don't
outcome
can call me
the
mulatto.
possible outcomes of you calling me mulatto or asking me what am I? God,
We've
they're
got a
endless.
few.
They're endless.
They're caca.
They're endless.
They're bra bra. Don't. Okay? Don't. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on Possible Outcomes Podcast. Again, I'm Mitch.
And I'm Lily.
And we drop new episodes every Wednesday, so like and subscribe. We are working on our social media, on our Instagram and on our Facebook, so look out for those coming soon. We are a brand new podcast, and we're still trying to work out the kinks, so you can leave some comments and feedback below. Please be kind. We are sensitive ladies, and we will bear that with consideration. Thank you so much for joining us. The possibilities are
endless. Thank you guys for being here. If you want to keep up with us throughout the week, in between episodes, we will be hitting our social media after we watch the movie on Netflix called Pieces of a Woman. It looks dramatic, it looks good, and it looks like a conversation that needs to be had as well. So feel free to let us know what you think about that. I will link our social medias in the description or up here as well. So hit that comment section hard. Let us know. Thank you for being here. Possible outcomes, baby. Thanks, Jake.
Thanks, Jake.
Bye.
And please join us next week. Join us next week.
We're gonna do this again probably. I don't know when though.
Again. I was not ready. Okay. Ready.
Ready.
Okay. I was like, ah!